Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets because if you saw yesterday's video, you'll probably be aware that I am now expecting that the Bitcoin bottom is in at around $5,860 and that Bitcoin is going to start establishing a new rally and that we are going to see some northerly movement for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin can accomplish some very important things during this rally that I do believe is coming up in the next 2 weeks or so, I do believe that this rally can transition into a new proper Bitcoin bull run. There's many reasons I believe that. We're going to be getting into all of them in today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, smashing the notification bell, guys. We do crypto videos every single day, and I wouldn't want you to miss any of them, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off with a little bit of short-term technical analysis because I know like 90% of people that watch these videos watch it the day it goes live. Bitcoin is currently trading at around $6,417. It's been doing pretty well over the last 24 hours or so. We'll look at the chart here in just a second. Refreshing coin market cap, we're up about 1% in the last 24 hours. The altcoins are doing quite well. Ethereum Classic is up nearly 20%. That's because everything's been finalized for Coinbase. They're on Coinbase. Congratulations to the Ethereum Classic community. You guys have had a good last couple of months with all of the Coinbase news. Bitcoin's dominance is still up here, and one of the things that we want to talk about with a Bitcoin bull run is the Bitcoin dominance, because I don't think Bitcoin's dominance is going to go much higher. I could see it going a little bit higher if Bitcoin does break below $6,000. If we see Bitcoin go down towards the $5,000 region, I don't think that's the most likely scenario at this point. But if we do see something like that happen, then the Bitcoin dominance will probably continue. But if Bitcoin starts moving up and we start going in the northerly direction and Bitcoin starts trending towards recent resistance levels of like $8,500 over here, I do believe that Bitcoin's dominance is going to start going down as people start moving their valuation out of Bitcoin and back into riskier plays in the altcoin market. Because the way that I trade cryptocurrencies, I rarely trade over US dollar tether. I actually mostly trade over Bitcoin because I have absolutely no interest in cashing out any of my trades and investments in the next several years. And I believe by the time I do cash them out, Bitcoin is going to be worth much more than the US dollar tether that I could be trading it into. And I believe a lot of other people, at least in part, or perhaps even wholly, trade in that manner. So that's why I believe that a lot of people have a lot of their valuation in Bitcoin, which is why Bitcoin has so much dominance right now, is because they've moved out of the riskier altcoins. They're looking for a bottom, or perhaps they just don't want to be in as volatile a market as the altcoin, so they're in Bitcoin. And I do think that is going to start trending downward if Bitcoin starts moving up. Because like I said, I think people are going to start taking more risks in the altcoins. I don't necessarily think that we're going to see a December, January style event in the altcoins in the next 6 months or so. I think that's unlikely, but I do think that the altcoins are going to start having their day. Depends on the altcoin, guys. I'm not saying to just go invest in whatever altcoin. You got to be careful because a lot of these altcoins, they're never going to go to all-time high again, guys. You got to realize that this market changes a lot. The top 100 for coin market cap is extremely fluid. About half of the coins that are up here in the top 10 right now either didn't exist or were nowhere near the top 10 just a year ago when I got into crypto. So place your trades and place your investments very, very wisely. But I do think the altcoins are going to start doing well if Bitcoin starts trending upward. With that said, one important thing that we saw Bitcoin do over the last 72 hours or so is that it didn't actually go down and reject off of $100 billion. We actually set a very minor higher high, which is a very important thing and is a very important theme for today's video. We can see that back here in late June when Bitcoin pulled back to $5,750, I've talked about this many times. It didn't really get support on a technical level here on the chart. It got support on $100 billion market capitalization, and it was defended very, very well. We had a double bottom down here at $100 billion market cap. So $100 billion market cap is right around the place that we can draw our actual bottom. It's a little bit more accurate than on the chart because, of course, market cap changes with how many coins there are, and there are more coins now than there were back then. But Bitcoin's market capitalization only fell down to about $103 to $104 billion. So by technical standards, and on the chart here, you can see Bitcoin set a higher high, which is something that we haven't seen happen in a very long time. We saw this happen back over here in very early April. We set a higher high above $6,000, but on the wicks, on the candlesticks, excuse me, Bitcoin did actually set a lower low. If we get rid of this wicks, then Bitcoin only went down to about $6,800. So Bitcoin has consistently been making lower lows for the entirety of the year right now. Again, if you disregard that wicks down to $6,000, and that has changed because I think Bitcoin has properly bottomed out now. Now, of course, Bitcoin has moved about $75 since recording this video, so maybe it's going to prove me wrong and go down to like 5,000 or something. I don't think so. But Bitcoin has actually managed to set a higher low down here on the wixes. And the idea of higher highs and higher lows is a very important thing in Bitcoin bull markets. And to see Bitcoin actually manage to set a higher high above its recent highs, or excuse me, a higher low above its recent lows over here at about $100 billion market cap exactly flat is a very bullish thing indeed. Because one thing that we want to use to define Bitcoin bull markets and Bitcoin bear markets or indeed any bear market and bull market, one of the easiest ways that you can define what a bull market and a bear market is the market setting higher highs and higher lows? If it is, it's a bull market. Is it setting lower lows and lower highs? If it is, it's a bear market. And that's what we saw in 2017. Bitcoin consistently set higher highs and higher lows. And I think we would all agree that Bitcoin is in a bull market. And in 2018, Bitcoin has consistently set lower lows and lower highs. We saw a lower low, we saw the first high up here, saw the lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And that's a very important trend, because if you break that trend, then that's a very good confirmation that you are about to move into a new bull run, because you just can't have a bull run if you're setting lower lows and lower highs, because that's going to push you in the southerly direction. That's going to push you down. That's just not how this works, guys. I mean, we understand this by now. So what we've seen Bitcoin do is just set lower highs and lower lows. Lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, higher low. Interesting trend. We'll come back to that. That's a very interesting little pattern that we've just formed there. Let's talk about the more shorter term things and talk about where Bitcoin needs to go and what Bitcoin needs to do to actually get this rally kicked off so it can actually move into a bull run, because Bitcoin can't really go on a bull run if it hasn't even had a rally yet. And look, it's very, very possible that Bitcoin comes down here to $5,800 again, so it's a double bottom down here. It's very possible that everything I just said gets disproven and Bitcoin goes below $6,000. We're talking about a game of statistics here, guys. When we're doing technical analysis, we want to say, okay, well, what's most likely to happen in the market? What do I think is most likely to happen to Bitcoin over the next 72 hours? What do I think is most likely to happen to Bitcoin? Because at the end of the day, you want to focus on what is most likely, because you're never going to even be able to hope to be right 100% of the time. That's just not how it works. So you want to base your trades and everything and your investment and your technical analysis off of what's most likely. And in my opinion, I believe it's most likely that Bitcoin has set a bottom down here and that we're not going down here again. That's what I think is most likely. And I think, again, most likely Bitcoin is going to start trending in the northerly direction and the upwardly direction. Again, I explained all of my reasoning behind this in yesterday's video. If you're interested, you can watch that video up here on the top right, where I break down why I believe that a new Bitcoin rally has started to form. And the last 24 hours of price action have solidified my position on that. Because something that we saw in the last 24 hours, this video was recorded right around here somewhere. I don't remember exactly what candlestick. It was almost exactly 24 hours before this, so you can go back 24 candles. But what we saw happen with Bitcoin is it came up here, had a little retracement, and went up again. And then it cooled off. It came down here below this 20-hourly EMA, but it actually just stopped. It didn't start going down again. Now, what we are kind of seeing form right here looks something like a head and shoulders pattern. It's a little bit lopsided, but I'm not going to consider that to be too powerful since we're on the hourly chart here. But Bitcoin did try and come down here back towards $6,000, but the bulls actually held it. We set a higher high, a higher low, on the hourly chart, which is something that I'm very happy to see indeed. And that also helped serve to cool off the hourly RSI. You can see the RSI was getting overbought up here, and then it started trending downward now. And Bitcoin's RSI in the hourly chart is in a much more neutral territory. And actually, during the recording of this video, Bitcoin was trading, if my memory serves me correctly, Bitcoin was trading at around $64.15 when we started this video. You can go back and watch it. We're down about $75 or so. But as you can see right now in live time while I'm actually recording this, Bitcoin is attempting to get support on the 20-hourly EMA. Since this is happening live and this video will go live an hour and 27 minutes after the time that I'm talking right now, go on your charts and check out what's going on. This is definitely an interesting little candlestick pattern that we see going on here. But nevertheless, I do believe Bitcoin is going to start moving up. So if Bitcoin is going to start moving upward, what are we going to need to see to add? That's not my tool I wanted. What are we going to need to see for Bitcoin to actually confirm this rally and start moving on this rally? And then what are we going to need to see this Bitcoin bull run that I'm talking about in the cards actually get kicked off? Because the rally, I think, is more or less confirmed. I think it's very likely anyway. The Bitcoin bull run that I'm talking about is by no means confirmed. And I'm not even really calling it. I'm just saying, I'm just explaining what needs to happen to see it. So with the Bitcoin rally forming, there's a couple of things that I would like to see Bitcoin actually kick off this rally. The first thing that I would like to see is that Bitcoin continues to set higher highs on the hourly chart and higher lows on the hourly chart, like we just saw. And I would also like to see the candlesticks continue to be green. And another thing that I would like to see is something that I mentioned in yesterday's video, which would be the Heikin-Ashi chart. I would like to see more green candlesticks come in here on the Heikin-Ashi chart. If you guys are interested in what I had to say about the Heikin-Ashi chart, again, I talked about that in yesterday's video. But if we can continue to see green candlesticks here on the Heikin-Ashi chart for the next couple of days, that's definitely a signal of reversal. Seeing two green candlesticks on the Heikin-Ashi after seeing over 2 weeks of red, generally that will signal a trend reversal. It doesn't necessarily say how long that trend reversal will be. You can see this one only lasted 4 days. That one lasted like 10, but then we had our major one. So to see some green candlesticks coming in here is definitely good, at least for the short term. I'd like to see that trend continue. Another thing that I would like to see is that if Bitcoin continues to move up, and like I said, I think it will, we need to see Bitcoin start breaking some key levels of resistance. And the first key level of resistance that I'm looking at, we'll actually turn the simple moving averages off for a second. The first level that I'm looking at is the 20 daily exponential moving average. That's the only moving average on the chart right now. This moving average is a very important moving average. It's a bit of a lagging indicator, but normally when Bitcoin is below this level, it is in a bear market, a downtrend. And when Bitcoin is above this level, it is normally in a rally. You can see this is very much true for the last long time in Bitcoin's history. When we were below it right here, we were in a downtrend. We were below it right here, we were in a downtrend, and we were getting resistance at it. This is an important moving average, because it's really, it makes it much easier to determine which direction the Bitcoin bull market is in, or excuse me, which direction the Bitcoin market is moving in general, and whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend. You can see when we were in an uptrend up here, we were above it. So the first thing that I would like to see that would help to confirm a new rally happening would be a break above this 20 daily exponential moving average, which is currently hovering at around $6,700 right now. And that would be a very nice thing to see indeed, because if Bitcoin does start coming up here, then that's going to set more green candlesticks. That's going to set more green candlesticks on Heikin Ashi. And if we start moving up there, another thing that's going to do is it's going to help the MACD line cross the signal line down here on the MACD, which is something that we want to see, because a bullish MACD I don't think that's a word, a bullish MACD cross down here would be a very nice thing to see, because that is a lagging indicator, but it is still a bullish confirmation indicator. When you see a bullish cross on the MACD, that does typically indicate that a rally, or an uptrend at least, has started in the last couple of days, because like I said, it is lagging. You can see it was signaling bearish over here a couple of days after the bearish sentiment had actually started, but I believe the bullish sentiment has started just in the last couple of days, and in a couple of days we're going to see a MACD cross. I think we're going to see that, and that would give the bulls even more confirmation that we are about to continue trending upward. After we break these two levels, and like I said, this is hypothetical, I do believe what I'm talking about right now is going to happen. I think this is going to happen, but we are talking statistics here, guys. It's not necessarily going to happen. I do think it's the most likely scenario that we are going to see some event like this play out. If Bitcoin does go up here and break the 20 daily exponential moving average, there are several other levels that I'm looking at. The other levels would be the simple moving averages. We have the 50 daily simple moving average, this red line right here, which is another line that Bitcoin likes to get above and below when it's in bull markets and bear markets, or excuse me, when it's in uptrends and downtrends. So to see Bitcoin get above that would be very good. I would very much like to see Bitcoin above several of these moving averages. Many of them are very important. I'm not going to get into each and every single one of them individually because there's so many of them. But to see Bitcoin start getting up here and getting through some of these moving averages would be very good for the market. And if Bitcoin does start getting above these moving averages, another really all-important level that Bitcoin would be getting above is the downtrend. The downtrend that Bitcoin had been under for a very long time. We had a little fake breakout of it. And actually, I'll show you something in a second in relation to this downtrend. But to see Bitcoin, get above this downtrend here on the auto chart would be another very bullish sign. You can see what happened the last time we got through it. We saw a lot of bullish sentiment because a lot of people thought a new bull run was starting at that time, because we had just broken a very important level of resistance. And guys, the longer that we go sideways and the longer we trade sideways, the lower these levels of resistance get, because a lot of them are moving averages, so they're trending down with us. One of them's a downtrend, it's trending down with us. Every day that we go sideways, it makes it even easier for us to break them, because these levels are much lower and much closer to where we currently are, so we don't need to go as far to get to them. So that's one thing that I'm very excited about. Another thing that I really quite like is that these lows, since they're getting lower and lower, we had a 12,000, a 10,000, then an 8,500. Well, guys, what's easier to break, 8,500 or 10,000? This rally is going to be much easier than the last one was, because we have a lower target to set a higher high, because at this point we only have to get above 8,500 to set a higher high. The last rally that kind of stopped about 3 weeks ago had to get above 10,000, so it had a much higher target than the one we do at this point. So if we break all these levels, we break the 20 daily exponential moving average, we see a bullish MACD cross, and we can break this downtrend. I think at that point we've definitely confirmed a new rally, and that a new rally is very much well underway. And I think you'll see the bullish price action and the bullish sentiment returning to the market. And if I were to put a time period on when this happens, I think it happens in the next 10 days or so. It could probably happen even shorter than that. Like I said, we're talking about a game of probabilities. Bitcoin, like I said, very easily could come down here to $5,860 again, set a double bottom or even a lower bottom. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Bitcoin is going to start moving up and try to establish a new rally here. Based on all the technicals that I've seen, if you guys have seen something else besides what I'm talking about, feel free to tell me in the comment section down below. Another thing that we want to look at is the Bitcoin shorts chart. We talked about this in yesterday's video as well. The Bitcoin shorts chart, or the Bitcoin shorts chart, charts are very high. There are a lot of shorts going on in the market right now. The Bitcoin shorts here on the Bitfinex chart have only ever gotten above this level once, and we saw a gigantic short squeeze that shoved Bitcoin $800 north in the span of an hour. I don't necessarily think that a short squeeze is going to happen here. It's very much in the cards because these shorts are very overextended. What is probably more likely is that the shorts are going to start falling off in a similar way. The shorts are going to start falling off. God, that is an unfortunate name for something in a market, isn't it? I think we're going to start seeing the shorts declining over here. That may be a little bit of a better way to say it. I believe the shorts are going to start declining over here, and we're going to see a lot of shorts being covered and closed. And when you see that happen, I think a lot of people are going to start doing that because they realize that a new rally is forming. And when you see a bunch of shorts close, then that gives you buying pressure, because to cover a short, you have to buy back the asset that you borrowed to sell to make the short, right? So you have to go ahead and buy back in to cover that short. And as these shorts start to fall, I don't think they're going to go much higher. They very well may, but I think they're going to start cooling off in a little while. And when they start cooling off, that's going to add more buying pressure to an already bullish market. In the last 2 to 3 days, I think Bitcoin's price sentiment has turned. I think the bulls are now in control. I explained that in yesterday's video about how the shorts skyrocketed, but Bitcoin still managed to go up against all that selling pressure. I think the bulls are much stronger than people are giving them credit for right now. We're going to see how that plays out. But with everything I just said, I just explained how a Bitcoin rally can form. Now let's talk about how a Bitcoin bull run can form, because those two things are very, very, very different things. We defined what a Bitcoin bull run is at the beginning of the video. A Bitcoin bull run in its simplest form is when Bitcoin or any other market is setting higher highs and higher lows. A bear market is the opposite. You're saying lower lows and lower. You're saying lower highs and lower lows. So what do we need to see for Bitcoin to establish a new bull market? Well, it's pretty simple. I'd say we need a higher high and we need a higher low. Well, technically, we just established a higher low for the first time all year if you're looking at candlesticks, and for the first time in over 6 months if you're looking at wixes as well. Bitcoin has finally established a higher low. Now, at the same time, something I do want to point out here is that when you're looking at charts and you're this zoomed out and you're looking at massive price movements like several $1,000s, a little 0.5% difference between the bottoms is mostly negligible. This would be much more accurately described as a double bottom rather than a higher low, simply because these levels are much closer to each other. On that note, it is technically a higher low, but it's really more of a double bottom if we're going to be totally honest with ourselves and not get too caught up in the bullish euphoria of desperately hoping for a new Bitcoin bull market. So the more accurate way that we should describe this is as a double bottom, but like I said, it is technically a higher low. With that said, what do we need to see for a Bitcoin bull run to start? Well, it's very simple. We need to see Bitcoin set a higher high above $8,500. That would be the first confirmation that I would like to see for a Bitcoin bull market to be starting. I did a video several weeks ago. I believe I have the channel up here and I can show you. I did a video where I talked about how you can call a Bitcoin bull market and the things that you want to look out for, how to call a Bitcoin bull run. Go watch this video. It'll be linked in the top right. That video describes several different technical indicators that you can use to get an idea for when a Bitcoin bull market is starting, and those are very important. I'll show you a couple of them in a second, but the most important confirmation, in my opinion, for setting a Bitcoin bull market in motion at this point is getting above the key support level, or excuse me, the key resistance level of $8,500, because if we close a new candlestick up here, above $8,500, then we've set a higher high. And if we've gone that high, I think it's very unlikely. If Bitcoin does something like this, this is the rally, and then it's rallying, it sets a higher high above $8,500, I don't think it's very likely that we'll go all the way back down to $6,000 again. If we do, then we've set a triple bottom in the last several months. I don't think that's most likely. If Bitcoin can get back up here above $8,500, I think it's going to set a higher low, and then we can start moving upwards and start discussing a proper full-scale bull run back to all-time high. The first confirmation I'm looking for to actually say that a Bitcoin bull run is about to start is that Bitcoin gets above $8,500, or more accurately $8,400 at the top of these wixes. After that, the next confirmation is getting above $10,000. If we can set 2 higher highs, then that of course solidifies the bull run that we are hoping is going to start. Now, I'm predicting very, very far out. In fact, I'm not predicting at all. I'm speaking very far out about where the market may be going. This is not necessarily going to happen, but if the rally does continue and we do manage to get above these levels, I think that it's very possible that a Bitcoin bull run can start here. I think it's very, very possible indeed. There's several other things that we want to look at as well. One of them is the 200 daily moving average. The 200 daily SMA is a level that we need to break to get a new bull run starting. And if we go up here and we get up to $8,500, this is going to be one of the key levels that we're going to want Bitcoin to get through to get there. You can see this level has been resistance twice. Both last times that Bitcoin had a rally, Bitcoin got resistance at this level. And it's a very important level because for the entirety of the 2016 and 2017 bull market, Bitcoin was never below this level. This is a level that if Bitcoin gets above, it's a very strong indicator that a bull market has just formed. So go ahead and keep watching out for the 200 daily simple moving average. If we get above that, which is currently sitting around $8,000, that is probably going to give us enough enough bullish strength to push us up here close to that $8,400 mark, and that would be a very big thing indeed if we do get above that. That's a very important level. Another thing that we want to talk about is the Bitcoin ETF, because this is a potential good or bad news story on the horizon, because this new rally, where it's moving into a new Bitcoin bull market, if we do get up here and start moving towards $8,400, if we end up breaking $8,400, it's almost definitely going to be in the month of September if it's going to happen as part of this rally at all. And in September is probably when the SEC, well, it's not probably, it's definitely when the SEC is going to be either accepting, denying, or delaying their decision on the Bitcoin ETF. And we've seen what happens if the Bitcoin ETF gets delayed. If it gets denied, I don't even want to know what happens. It is going to crash the market probably. But if it gets accepted, then it's going to help us a lot. If it gets delayed, I think it's a temporary setback and it won't necessarily cause the end of the rally. But that's something that you're going to want to keep an eye out for and keep tabs on, because that is a very important news story. It's more important than it really should be, in my opinion. I've talked about that. You can watch the video that we did on that on the top right. But at the same time, it is still a very important decision for the market. The last thing that I want to show you is kind of the coup de grace of the video. This is a moving average that I like to use to determine when Bitcoin has really started and really entered a bull run and whatnot. And I talked about this in that video I linked up earlier, the how to call a Bitcoin bull market, that video. That would be the 20 weekly exponential moving average. Now, this is a very important moving average because, as you can see, we've had 3 fake out breakouts above it over here. We've seen 3 fake outs above this level. But this is still a very important level because if Bitcoin can get above this level and close a couple of green candlesticks above this level and start moving up above this level, which is currently sitting at only $7,500, like I've said, a lot of these trend lines and moving averages and everything that we're looking at are trending downwards and getting closer to us, so it's easier to break through them without having to go, say, $10,000 to even get to them. If we can get above this and set some new highs above this exponential moving average, it's going to be very good for the market. And the reason I say it's going to be very good for the market is because if we look at the history of Bitcoin for the entirety of 2016 and 2017, you can see that the market continued to bounce off of this level. It did it about 10 times in 2016 and 2017, and that continued to help hold up the Bitcoin bull market. And when we did get above this level, and we did actually manage to confirm getting above this level, we actually saw the Bitcoin bull market start. I also did a video on this. I talked about why back here in October of 2015 was one of the most important times in Bitcoin in the last 2 or 3 years. You can watch that video on the top right. I'm sending you guys all over the place today, aren't I? But back over here, when we did finally confirm getting above this level and above the 200 daily simple moving average, this happened at the same time, by the way, we did actually see the beginning of a new Bitcoin bull run. So we did see a fake out over here, but we did eventually see Bitcoin get above it, and that confirmed a new Bitcoin bull run. So if Bitcoin gets above this level and the 200 daily simple moving average, if it can break $8,500, and especially if we can break $10,000, I think a bull run is very much underway. So let's wrap the video up. What do I think is most likely? I think what is most likely is that Bitcoin, based on everything I discussed in today's video and in yesterday's video, that Bitcoin is going to start a new rally here over the next 48 to 72 hours, and that Bitcoin is going to start moving up and start testing some of these levels of resistance like the 20 daily exponential moving average. I think we're going to see the bullish MACD cross. I think Bitcoin's going to start moving up over the next couple of days. Whether or not it can get through some of these levels of resistance, time will tell. It's a little hard to tell if Bitcoin's going to get through them when it hasn't even gotten to them yet. We'll discuss that. But if Bitcoin does manage to continue this rally, I've laid out everything that I believe needs to happen and everything that I believe we need to see a new Bitcoin bull run kick off. Tell me in the comment section down below if you agree with my analysis. Does Bitcoin need to see these things happen? And also tell me in the comment section down below, do you think it's going to happen? I'm by no stretch of the imagination in no means saying that I think this is the most likely scenario. I'm simply laying out one scenario of many that could potentially lead Bitcoin back to a new all-time high and onto a new bull run here in the second part of 2018 and on into 2019. As always, guys, I'm very interested to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. Tell me what you think, but that's going to do it for this video, guys. I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.